Hello, it's Neil here, and it's September. It's a lovely warm day, and I am at Candle Hill. And it's an interesting circle. They have one standing stone and 7 others that are fallen. And it's a little bit of a... It's starting to become a bit overgrown with gorse and grass and such. I've been very careful where I have exposed the stones. I've been very careful to expose it by lifting a carpet of moss, which I will go back and return before I leave. So I'm not removing any moss, I'm just lifting it up from the stone. It's a natural kind of carpet of moss I'll be lifting up if I do any. So before anything, I'll go on to this little... I'll just nip across the Recumbent and go into this little rise to get a little bit of an idea of the topology of where we are, because it is relatively interesting. We are, as you'd imagine by the name, on an actual hill. There is a wide trench to the side of us, and a deep trench rather, which I'll show quickly, and that is, there's been a wee bit of controversy about whether it is a quarry or not, but it's been identified as a quarry on Canmore. Some of the early archaeologists missed the trench completely because this area was so overgrown and it was heavily planted with trees at one point. So, but yeah, it's been identified as a quarry by Canmore. So, I'm topping this, what would normally be the cairn in the middle of the circle, and I'm looking over the Recumbent and I'm looking south. However, this has really been identified as a bit of a spoil of stones, probably from the quarry. There's been some excavations before, just down here at the side of the hill, of a timber building. I think there may be dates from not so long ago. I can't remember a date offhand, but there were some excavations there, but nothing really excavating the stone circle to any real degree. So the documentation, when you look at the Great Crowns of Stone, basically says that the fallen stones, the orientation or how you find the circle today is how it's been documented for the last few decades and maybe even a couple of centuries. So we're looking south, we're looking from the centre of the circle down. This is a stone spoil rather than a cairn that I'm looking across. But directly south of us, just where that wind turbine is, or just beyond that wind turbine, is Stonehead. Just there, just not very far away at all. And then just turning a little bit round to about here is Dunadeer Stone Circle. And in fact there's Dunadeer Fort on the top of the hill, and just beyond that is Benahee. So it's really quite a prominent circle, this one. I'll just continue going round. You can see it's quite flat off the way all the way to sort of heading off towards Aberdeen way. Quite a hill, not just a kind of rise, quite a hill that we're on. I kind of come round as it kind of goes down to a valley, goes up back to that hill just in the distance. Reminds me a little bit of Tom Navari, and it's on a hill like in a kind of donut valley all the way around, and hills off in the distance there. So quite a prominent location for this stone circle, without a doubt. Can't maybe quite see, but it goes, there's a valley that maybe goes off into the distance there, and then surrounded by hills all the way back to heading south. So yeah, quite a prominent location, and very close to 2 well-known recumbent stone circles, which wouldn't be, half an hour to walk to be honest. They're that close. So let's have a look at what we've got here. Just while we're here, we'll just have a quick look at this quarry, because it is relatively deep. Of course, it's all filled in with garbage now, and and stuff. So that's, you know, that's a good 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 meters deep from where I'm standing, and it goes all the way back from the hill all the way right along to the other side of it. So it's quite a long trench, and like I say, Canmore have really identified it as a quarry. Coming back to the circle then, let's start off with the stone number 1, the west flanker. So like I say, it's fairly well covered in grass and moss. So this is the flanker here. As far as you can tell, a nice, it's either been chosen or shaped because of its nice right angle. It's got a little bit of a kind of lip here, comes round. A bit covered in gorse in that way, but comes up to being just here. Just pull back that carpet of moss there. Quite a square, it's either a square topped or a shaped top, depending on which way it's fallen. Back into the circle or out from it. But it is quite a large shaped block of a stone, or chosen specifically stone. Again, I'm easy osy which way. I'm quite happy with the whole thing about stones being found, having maybe been dumped by the Ice Age 5,000 years before these things were built, and just essentially sort of moved into place, like moving furniture in the house. I'm also happy with the idea that maybe some specific stones have been quarried and then moved a significant different distance. I'm also happy with the idea that after the stone was built, generations of the community would have dressed and shaped and decorated the stones. So it might have not have been originally that shape, but it might have maybe been shapen over decades, or even adopted by other communities. So I've not really got a hard and fast theory on them. I'm quite open to them all. So stone number 2, a fairly irregular recumbent, about 4 meters long, not very flat fronted. Again, that could have been a lot to do with weathering, if anything. But it is a large slab of recumbent. In other words, it's not too thick, not too wide, but quite long, quite deep, tall rather, when it was standing up. Stone number 3 then is off to the side. Just moved some of the bushes back to see it. This is a more of a kind of, it's got a kind of a bit of a curve to it. It's hidden under that moss carpet there. Stone number 3. And again, quite long. But the recumbent setting is pretty much, if we were to lift the stones back or forward into position, it's pretty much facing south. Go along to stone number 4. So along here and hidden under a few clumps of grass, if I can still find it. Ah, here we are. And again, I've just moved the moss carpet back a little bit just to see it. A slab of a stone, smaller though, and there's a bit of a chunk maybe coming off that top corner. And again, it's kind of normal with recumbent stone circles that as the stones progress further to the back of the circle, they become shorter. So this is not a huge stone, but it's definitely flat fronted. There's some grooves in it though. Again, it's in great crowns of stone. You can see that kind of detail. Stone number 5 is the only stone that still remains standing, and it's essentially got a name of its own because it's the only standing stone. It's called the Candle Stane, Candle Hill, Candle Stone Circle, but it's called Candle Stane on its as its own name. A kind of slab of a stone, not too deep, but a kind of almost gravestone type of style to it, kind of bowed but flattish fronted. This is, if I stand inside the circle, this is well up to almost my shoulder height. and a flattish back to it. Again, we're probably talking maybe kind of an arm and a half wide. So a substantial stone. And again, the very fact that there's you could be forgiven to think, well, the stones have probably fallen because the quarry was active probably before 1870, they reckon, at some point. And again, with most kind of quarries, if they're that close to a stone circle, there's a good chance that the quarrymen have been working in or around or using actually parts of the stone of the circle. And that might explain why the stones are falling, either being pushed over or due to the proximity of the quarry they've fallen over. Also, the very fact that there's been documentation that this whole area has been very heavily forested could explain the stones falling, stones being uprooted from trees falling in storms, or trees being felled by management, or being pushed over by a tree grown very close to it, has also been noted as well. So that might go to some way to explain why you've got 7 fallen stones and 1 standing still, but again, it could easily be just nothing to do with it. Stone 6 then, again, I've just pulled back the kind of moss carpet a little bit just to expose it. These stones are in real danger of, especially the fallen ones, like any circle with fallen stones, are in real danger of being lost to to the grass and the moss completely. Stone 7. Now, stone 7 is supposed to have a fairly chunky, it's in this kind of gorse here, it's supposed to have a kind of chunky counterpart just beyond it, but I'm not sure if I can just see it or not, but unless it's been moved or fallen into the quarry. But it's a fairly chunky stone, especially if it's been a split stone. Stone 7. And then we're going to see stone 8. What I've done, this is the second time I've been to this particular circle, and because it's fairly remote and got a lot of gorse and trees and such, I have noted that there's been some deers that live in and around this area. So if you are coming, a little bit of a hint would be to talk or whistle quite loudly to yourself if you're on your own, or to speak quite loudly with your partner if you're up here, just so that the wildlife know that you're coming, so they don't get startled and you don't get startled with them, as happened with me the last time. So this is stone 8. Again, it's quite, according to the drawing, it's a lot bigger than what we can see. There's a lot of, again, carpet of moss and grass growing over this. This is in danger of being lost as well, unless we do, Historic Environment Scotland, do some kind of exercise where we can gently and carefully and considerately take back the undergrowth so we can expose the stones. But until that happens, I suspect we're probably going to lose a few of them to the grass and the undergrowth. And that's us back to the recumbent. Now, it is fairly simple. It's fairly easily accessed, this circle. Going back to the recumbent. We're just off the B roads down the valley, and a nice gentle walk up through the field. There's one ladder gate to negotiate, but in actual fact it's away from its post a little bit, so it's just a matter of walking through it or climbing over it. Here's your preference. There's some gorse to kind of climb through this time of year, which is a little bit scratchy, but yeah, a relatively accessible-ish, probably on a scale of 1 to 10, a kind of 5 accessible. Not too easy, but not too difficult. But definitely one to visit. If nothing else, I know you've got 7 stones that are fallen and only 1 standing, but if nothing else, it's a really interesting location for some key aspects of the Aberdeenshire countryside. And I would suggest it's well worth a visit, if nothing else. Especially if you're going to be visiting Stonehead, and Dunadeer, Fort and Stone Circle. It's only just along the road. and a relatively quick visit. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and thanks very much.